There you are. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I like your background, though.
That part works. Now I need my, let's see.
Look, there we are.
Camera's good, audio. Let's see.
By the way, we are live right now.
Oh, great. It says, but you can't hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay, good, because it says you can. So, all right, how do I change my background on this thing?
Hey, look, real quick, there we are live on YouTube right now. And because of that, there are certain things that we cannot talk about. So I just want you to be very careful.
Okay.
Some of those things would be, the current administration.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, how's my background now?
Hey, you look sharp. Look at you. So I uploaded this one. I just went and found that and
I'll show you the picture I found for this for our.
What was wrong with the other one? The other one looked nice. Is that you just didn't want to show off your house?
Well, yeah.
Good idea.
Here. Hold on a second. Let's see if this uploads. How's that?
All right. Well, that will definitely limit the audience.
I'm just saying that I mean, I'm gonna move this over a little bit so I can click on.
So you've got a good picture of the screen, right? You can see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to point out what we're looking at here. The cars coming towards us are coming into the U.S. Cars going away from us are going back to Mexico or into Mexico. Down below the bridge, you can see there's an armored up Humvee down there. And that is the park where the National Guard has been staging. I don't have a better picture at this point of where the National Guard are. I will show you some of the other cameras that I have. Let's see here.
So down here in the lower right where that vehicle is, that's where our National Guard are staged.
Yep. In fact, that is a National Guard vehicle right there, yeah.
So how come no one's trying to get into Mexico? I mean, it's warm.
Well,
tequila's on tap. It's a fiesta every day.
So this is actually, it's right here, again, to the right of the screen, that is entering the U.S. To the left of the screen is coming back into Mexico. So as you can see, they've got all of the Border Patrol checkpoint to the right. And then this is actually right at the line, the U.S.-Mexico line.
So these cars here comes somebody, they dropped off their stuff. They're coming back now to get more.
Let's be very careful about how I talk about things. I don't want to, before I even get moving here, I don't want to have my page deleted.
No, I appreciate that. We will only say things that are acceptable for the mainstream, including YouTube media. We'll only say things that are acceptable and approved.
That'd be awesome. I'm going to take you into Mexico now.
Biden's great. We love him. He's going to be reelected. Smartest man in the world.
We don't have to be liars.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually Mexico here. These cameras are from, and I don't have any control over them. They rotate automatically. They're going to do their thing.
So these are in Mexico. These are our vehicles returning to Mexico.
Literally directly across the bridge from Eagle Pass, Texas. So you can see they take very good care.
That's a really nice vehicle.
Take care of their streets, you can see.
Okay, so this is one. Yeah,
the time there is 9:45, so it's about 10 o'clock their time.
947-14. What's the okay, I should know this. What is the city directly opposite Eagle Pass?
It's Mexico. As you can see, we're very well prepared for this live
Negras.
here.
That's what it is.
I think well, that means welcome. So
it says it's a city of surrounding municipality of the same name as the Mexican state of. I really don't want to butcher it. And it's on the U.S.-Mexico border, right across from.
Okay, Eagle Pass.
Eagle Pass. Yeah, this camera. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so it's interesting. I've been to Juarez. Let's think. Nogales.
Right there. We could go down there and get some of those medicines that we can't get here.
Yeah, it was for a minute. It was legal, right? Under the previous administration, it was legal for you to find your prescription medicine from anywhere in the world, wherever you could find it,
north of the border or south, and that was
north or south of the border. Yeah, it was beautiful. Is you really kind of encouraged an open market, an open competition for pricing. And so you would let the market actually bring the pricing down through competition so people could afford their pharmaceutical prescriptions. Now, of course, we change all that and we're going to subsidize it. So it'll still be the same high price, but now our tax dollars will go to help bring the price down instead of the free economy. But,
So I want to show you this. This is a baseball field right across from the bridge. Last night I was watching this field and there was just above where it says B2 traffic, or just below that, there was a group of people, probably about 6, 4 adults, 2 kids, and a couple suitcases. And they were standing there for about 20 minutes. Then a pickup truck pulled up and 2 males got out of the pickup truck and they spoke to the family about 15 minutes. After that, they took the suitcases, put it in the back of the pickup truck, and the entire 6-pack, the family and the 2 gentlemen that came there, piled into the truck and took off.
Interesting.
I can speculate. And my speculation is that they were making a deal about how to get them and where to get them, where to take them. It looked as though they were negotiating where and how to get to wherever they're going. Not many people put 8 people in a crew cab truck.
Right, because you won't have enough seatbelts, and yeah. Also, I mean, it could be they were looking to buy a franchise, and this is just the most appropriate time and place to meet to have that conversation.
Yeah, sure, that's what they were doing. Maybe they were just done playing baseball and they got their ride.
Exactly.
It's a baseball season somewhere.
It is. It's not here. Football.
But anyway, that's why I thought this was an interesting. And by the way, that's an Escalade, a Cadillac Escalade there. This is on the U.S. side, Eagle Pass. But I thought it was an interesting transaction that happened yesterday. So I come back here from time to time. I've seen people walking through the parking lot. I saw a guy with a backpack hanging out there earlier today. So
yeah, I'm sure it's all on the up and up. Nothing nefarious.
No, why would there be?
There is quite a bit of money at the border. It's interesting that if I think about going into Nogales or Juarez, if you look around, like the housing, where the people live. It's probably what you remembered in the past. Some of them don't have windows and they're just like, they're so far behind any kind of code that we would consider safe for homes built in the U.S. In most cities, right? In terms of electrical code and roofing and plumbing and those types of things. But if you look past that and you look into some of the businesses and some of the people that are there conducting business, there is a lot of money that on both sides of the border. So seeing an Escalade would not be uncommon in those cities for sure.
Another interesting thing I've noticed as I've been watching this. Every once in a while, you'll see a luxury tour bus leaving Mexico. I'm sorry, headed towards Mexico. So again, right now in this picture, we're facing towards Mexico. So you'll see them on the right-hand side of the road headed towards Mexico. Every once in a while, you'll see a bus in that long traffic line coming back into the U.S. And I know that, again, I'm speculating here. I know that there have been many of the tour buses filling up with those folks that have downloaded I think it's an AB1 app through Customs and Border Patrol. Huh. And then and that gives them access to the U.S. That app takes their information, and they have promised to check in periodically and to make a court date. So I think that, and I could be wrong on those details, so please, if you are listening and you have more information on this, the other thing is I promise you I will get the details of this, and on a future cast we will put those out. But I do know that there is an app that Border Patrol is sponsoring, and I think that's what happened. Because again, you'll see a lot of buses.
Interesting. I don't know how much we can talk about without getting in trouble, so you'll have to. I'll need a code word or something. But I had a couple things. One is where we are here. My understanding is that where people are streaming across the border is actually a few miles down the road, or even maybe.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think you're talking about the post that I sent you earlier. So I sent a streamer that's in place down there. I think he's called JLR Investigations or Investigates. He's got a good deal. He's actually in place in Eagle Pass, and he's doing a nice stream. So shout out to JLR Investigates. I sent that link to him, and I don't know if it was based on my link or another, but he actually went down there, and he got up into a high vantage point and was looking down past those openings. What's happened is, sorry, I should explain this. There is about a half mile down the road from where we're looking right now, there are two openings in the wall, the border wall. Two openings. One of them has gates, one of them does not. So it's like they just didn't finish it. And then it's about another half mile from there, maybe less, to the river. And that's the river that they've been crossing at. There's no guards at the gate. There were no guards at the gate as of yesterday. As of today, probably around 4 o'clock local time, there were two Customs and Border Patrol vehicles there, and there was a boatload of unmarked vehicles down by the river. There is razor wire along the river, so they did protect that. But up until today, there wasn't anybody actively watching that.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's part of the criticism. And then of course I won't admit to being very well educated about this yet, but there's a lot of buzz around people coming to the border, being welcomed to the border to take part in a supportive protest, a protest to support the actions of the National Guard, and that includes truckers and tractors and people. And of course I even read, and again I want to fact check this before I say it's true, because I don't know if it's true. Canadian truckers, which of course we remember their very peaceful protest that they held, was in Ottawa. Do I have that right? Which
yes.
was just amazing. Like, if you're going to have a protest, I think they wrote the book on it. But, it would be amazing to see the Canadian truckers join that too, because obviously this is, it's a different issue in a different country, at a different border. It's a completely different situation. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I found that fascinating. And it speaks to, let's assume for a minute that the same kind of peaceful protesting that was done in Ottawa can occur at the border. I think that would be a statement by a number of people to say, hey, we're in support of Babbitt's decision to bring the National Guard out, to say, we have to protect this border. It doesn't mean necessarily we don't believe in immigration. We do. We believing that it needs to be handled in a different way. And now at this point, we have to say if our federal government's not willing or able to enforce a border, then we have no choice as a state to do that. And I think it's remarkable that so many people would come out, and I hope that nothing happens like we saw, a couple of years ago at the Capitol, because that would.
Well, what you said, peaceful is the absolute, key word here. No one is going to win if people get stupid.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah. Yeah. It needs to stay professional and peaceful and just supportive. I think all those things, if it mirrors what happened in Ottawa, great. I would love to see that. I think it'd be a wonderful statement. If it is anything different than that.
Now would be a good time to let you know that I am enjoying an adult beverage. Tonight's adult beverage in my Yeti cup, and this is not sponsored by Yeti nor the Adult Beverage Company. Tonight's adult beverage is from Bitterroot Brewing, here in Hamilton, Montana, and it's called Drop Bar. Drop Bar is a IPA, but it has a blood orange flavoring, so it's amazing, and it's real blood orange. So
sounds yummy.
The adult beverage of the evening.
Nice. I'm assuming YouTube permits drinking adult beverages on air as long as they're in some sort of a Yeti.
Oh no, I think that I could probably even fully promote it if I wanted to. But I didn't. I wouldn't. So at this time, hey, so it's interesting. We talked a little bit off the air about what's going on down in Eagle Pass, and I think that most Americans agree that they love and value and appreciate legal migrants, which is different than illegal immigration. And the sad part is, or the frustrating part is that when you see the mass numbers that were coming across the border, that was unsustainable. And people were just crying out for something to be done. Now, there's a lot of discussion about whether it's legal for Governor Abbott to call in his Texas National Guard to blockade the area. I think that there are some readings of the Constitution that says not only is it legal, it is required. It is part of his constitutional duty. Again, I'm not a legal scholar, nor do I play one on TV. However, there is others that take the Supreme Court ruling as a rebuke of what Abbott did. What they're not taking into account is that the only thing the Supreme Court did was it removed the stay. So what happened is a lower court put a stay on enforcing the removal of the barbed wire. No, I'm sorry, they did the opposite. They put a stay on Abbott's ability to stop the removal of the barbed wire. Does that make sense?
The last statement you made is the correct one. It actually prevented Abbott was preventing access to the border, preventing access for the Border Patrol to have access to the border. That's what he did. And the Supreme Court said you have to allow Border Patrol to have access to the border. And
interestingly enough, the Supreme Court did not say that. They didn't rule on that. They actually just ruled on the lower court ruling. Okay. So the only thing they did was they removed the stay. So the Supreme Court really has not weighed in on this.
Okay, but my understanding is it's not about the specifics of removing or setting barbed wire. It had more to do with access to the border itself.
And that's what the lower court ruling was, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so
the
lower
interesting to see if this actually makes it to the Supreme Court, this particular issue. And I think part of the reason was they didn't have a victim, if you will, or they didn't have standing because no one individual had been harmed, so to speak. Again, could be wrong. There's one of those tour buses, by the way.
Hey, there it is.
I'm sure they're going back to get some adult beverages.
Probably.
They do make some fine adult beverages in Mexico, by the way.
They do. And by the way, people do go tour Mexico. So it could just be, it could just be nothing more than that. So the part that's Yeah, I think the thing is, this is a really tough conversation because on the one hand you say, and I agree, by the way, wholeheartedly, especially people coming from places where the government is it's not safe. And I think about some of the places in Central America, and even parts of South America where we know it's not safe. There are all kinds of issues, and people do feel like they need asylum. And so I agree. Like we need to have the ability for people to seek asylum in the U.S. and we should have the ability to welcome those people in and protect them. However, this mess that's been created is way beyond the few people that actually need the asylum, and it has become a complete clown show, where some people estimate that's more than 10 million people have migrated into the U.S. over the past couple of years, including over 300,000, a record in December. And it's not, again, it's the tough part is, so many of these humans have been told, please come, we have all of these benefits for you. And so of course they come. What would you do if you were living in poverty or you saw the opulence that you could have? You didn't know it was poverty until you heard about the opulence, right? What would you do? You would pack up and grab your family and go. Of course you would go. So I think part of this is there are people that needed the asylum. There are people that absolutely have been wanting to emigrate here. And then I think we did something way beyond that, which is just to, wholeheartedly open up and say, please come quickly, as many as possible. And I think that's where it's a huge problem, because obviously we're overrun, we can't handle it. And we've heard some of the statistics already about the number of people on the terror watch list. We've heard about the fact that these aren't people just coming in from Mexico, which, by the way, I guess international law, if you're seeking asylum, it's the next safest country, which should be Mexico for some of these folks. But regardless, it's more than 100 countries. I heard it's upwards of 180 countries of different people from different nationalities have come up through these southern borders. So you have to ask at some point, do you feel like is this the right thing for the U.S.? I'm not saying we don't have a heart, don't have a humanitarian thoughts about how do we help other people in need. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact that you allow the border to be overrun over these last several years and completely neutralize any of our immigration policies, what have we done to the country? And I'm not even talking about how do we afford it, because I'm sure we'll figure that piece out, even if it means, I have to pay more taxes, because that's probably what's going to happen. But is this the right thing to have done for the country? And what happens the moment you stop it? Like right now at Eagle Pass, what happens the moment you stop it? Do you then become the villain because you no longer allowed this? These people there's hundreds of thousands of them probably still on their way. We don't know it may necessarily yet, but if 300,000 people came through in December, how many more are still out there coming north right now?
Well, and you're right. You mentioned earlier that they've been told, please come. And that's right. That's true. They've been told that the laws have changed and they're letting everybody in and they're giving everybody, a $5,000 visa, which, by the way, they are giving them visas, preloaded visas. They're giving them places to stay. I just saw a report this evening, though, where there are some of the hotels in Chicago that had been housing the illegals. They're kicking them out now. And then, so by the way, just full disclosure, that's not right either. You don't bring them here, put them up in this great, facility. And by the way, it's not just the vast majority of what we're seeing come across the border at Eagle Pass have been the military age men. But in these hotels, there is everybody from the military age men to full families to women. I mean, just saying, hey, look, we've changed our mind, or hey, look, we're fed up now. Go. That's not acceptable either.
Right. We welcome. And by the way, yes, I mean, that's a really good point. And by the way, this is why it's tough for me even to say illegal, right?
Because a scooter. Sorry.
He's going in style on the scooter. I love it.
He's headed back to Mexico in a scooter.
Lost everything at the casino. All I got to keep was my scooter.
Sorry, I got to call what's on the screen.
I love it. What I was saying though is what was I saying?
You were talking about people getting kicked out of the facilities.
Well, yeah, this is why. By the way, going back to the first thing before we talk about getting kicked out, because I have some thoughts there too. But it's why I have a hard time calling them illegal. And I know a lot of people are saying that because they're here, they didn't come through the normal process. But we encourage them, put this welcome mat out. In fact, some believe Monkey Works. I love watching his podcast, his vodcast. That there's potentially people being flown into the country. So we have welcomed them. We have encouraged them. We're opening up all kinds of financial opportunities for them. So saying they're here illegally, I can't say that. What I can say is this mass migration is the way it's been done. There's no way it's good for the people that are involved, aside from all the human trafficking and drugs and cartel involvement and all the things that are nefarious and wrong with some of the underlying underpinnings. But aside from that, to your point, now you've been bused to Chicago. Maybe you chose Chicago, or maybe it was chosen for you. Regardless, you ended up in Chicago. You were given housing, and now you don't have the housing. And now what? And now what? Yeah. Where do you go? What do you do?
And by the way, the housing was unsustainable. Some of those places were, they were staying in, the Marriott Marquis, and they could normally rent those rooms out for $400 a night. And that was all being footed by the government. And whether local, state, or federal, they were being, funded by that. Well, there's only so much money to go around. And then on top of that, and this, I wanted to come back to this, David, you said that they are not technically illegal. They are here illegally. They did not follow the immigration system to get here. Now, I'm gonna caveat that by saying, if you're sitting in a village in some South American or wherever, you're sitting in a village where you don't even have electricity, you have a pot that you use at the restroom, and suddenly you're hearing, hey, the U.S. is open. They're going to give you money. They're going to give you a job. They're going to give you a place to stay. Food there is amazing, and the opportunities are endless.
Right?
Wouldn't you go?
Of course you
Absolutely.
Go. It's not
and so they've been told these things, and so of course they come here. Now, the other side of that story is we are exceeding the birth rate in the number of migrants. So the number of that would normally be born here in America is being exceeded by these, this immigration flood. That's not sustainable either.
No, well, okay. So there's the immediate economic impact to the communities and to the people. Like, these humans and humans with families. I get it. There's a lot of military age men. There's a lot of people from nationalities you wouldn't expect to come up to the southern border. I've seen some, what's the right word for it? Groups of Chinese, groups of people that are from Middle Eastern descent. And, I'm not making any comment about their countries or them individually, because I don't know their situation. Sure. But I'm just saying, like, it's not just people that are from Mexico saying, or even from Nicaragua or Venezuela, who are saying, I want to come, I'm going to come into the U.S. this way. And by the way, you opened your arm, so I'm coming up. So those people, those humans, are going to have to grapple with, what do I do when the free money runs out? And now I have to figure out where to live, how to eat, how to sustain myself, right? So that is a challenge. And if it's, I don't know if it's 10 million or if it's 8 million or if it's 11 million, but it's millions. We know that.
Yep.
They're here. They're human beings. Most of them are not nefarious, people trying to create havoc. They have to make their way through life. And how do they do it? Where do they live in the meantime? That is going to be incredibly difficult for them. Now, if you flip it around for a minute and you say, okay, let's pull all the way back out, look at a macro experience. What does this mean to the country? Well, one, our birth rate is 1.6. So we're not reproducing ourselves. So you bring in 8, 9, 10 million people. all of a sudden you actually do start to refill. It's a terrible way to think about it, but you kind of refill the total number of people that can be taxpayers at some point, who will then contribute to our tax base and therefore refund things like our military budgets and Social Security and whatever, everything else. So that is another way to look at it. It's a very cold way to think about it, as these are literally future tax-paying pawns, but they are also future tax.
You're also diluting the culture. I mean, you can look over to Europe for that. I mean, it's all over Europe right now. If you look at France, the culture there is completely flipped. And some would say, well, maybe it needed to be done. Well, I'm not going to make that argument.
It's an interesting thing to think. I know there's some communities where the communities themselves have changed and are not really recognizable. Like if you're there, you would say, I don't feel like I'm in the US. I feel like I'm in, some other country, because of the way that the people not just culturally think, behave, and act, but also like the way they think about their justice system or law. The laws that they adhere to are different, and most of us who don't live in those communities would never believe they exist. But all you have to do is go up to certain parts of Michigan, and it becomes real fast.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, I went to Dearborn. Boy, oh boy, was that different.
Yeah. And look, I don't live there. I'm sure the people that live there probably, well, I don't know anything about how they felt. Did they open their arms and say, yes, we welcome that? Or do they say, gosh, I wish we could actually have a little diversity, because, we expect and respect your culture, but also that doesn't mean ours needs to dissolve and go away.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna flip cameras here for a second. I want to go back to that one with the armored up Humvee in front of it.
Let's do it.
Just want to see what's going on there, if anything. No, that's the park.
I was trying to find that article I sent you earlier today about I think it's a senator in Illinois, or maybe it's a representative. I have it wrong. Anyways, he was saying, hey, I'm going to put a sign-up board out so those of you in the wealthiest communities can open up your homes to the migrants, because you felt so strongly about this being a sanctuary city. We now need you to, put your money where your mouth is. And then, of course, got a lot of backlash for it and took it down. But I thought, if you wanted it, if you said, like Eric Adams did, like what's her name, Hochul, am I saying her name right, Kathy?
Yep.
We welcome everyone. Great. We have some people for you that we need you to take in because we're overrun. And this is a crisis. We can't handle it. Our tax burden, we're going to have to close down schools and make kids learn from home from now on. Like,
it's interesting to see the sanctuary cities change their tune once they get flooded.
Right.
And, there's a lot of people that firmly believe that sanctuary city is the way to go. But again, who was it that, well, okay, then start bringing them into your house. That's what a lot of these politicians are saying. They're saying, hey, you know what? We need you to take a couple of the migrants in.
Right.
And no one's doing it. I can't imagine why.
Right.
I don't know who they are. I'm not going to invite them into my home with my children there.
Right. And now, of course,
you're not vetting them.
You're not vetting them. How can I possibly know who this person is? Right. Exactly.
I wouldn't pick a babysitter without doing a background check. Why am I going to let this person who's brand new to our country that doesn't even speak my language? And again, I know not all of them are not English speaking, but I wouldn't let a babysitter into my home without doing a background check. You haven't done a background check on these folks, and they're in our country, and you want me to bring them into my house. That's not reasonable.
Right. You've created a situation where that overran our existing system. So now we don't have the ability to do what we normally would do, which is understand who are the people coming into the country. And I'm not, and again, this isn't me. I'm not saying don't allow immigration. And you could argue that our immigration process before was too slow, it was too heavy, it was too burdened, it was too expensive for people. Okay, I agree with all those things without even understanding all the details in detail. You want to go reform all of that? Great, you have my vote. I'd be happy for you to go and reform all of those things to make it easier for people to go through the process. Easier to go through the process also means you might be denied because you're on a watch list, or you are committed. You're a repeat felon, and we don't necessarily want to have. Not sorry, but if you've committed serious crimes in our country and you've been deported, you had a shot to be a good citizen here. You chose not to, and so you'd probably feel the same way if I wanted to come to your country and I had been deported for committing crimes in your country. You probably wouldn't want me back. I kind of feel like we would be able to vet those people out, but the current system, we're not vetting. I don't know who we're vetting. It's catch and release.
Try getting into Mexico.
Yeah, you can't just sneak into Mexico. Exactly.
You can't just go in. You can't just stay there. Hey, I want to point something else out. We missed it because I was on one of the other. I think I was probably on the park or something like that. But at about 10 o'clock local, they do a shift change. At least they did last night. So they were bringing vans full of National Guard in because these guys can't stay out on the post indefinitely. So I was in the military, and when I was in, we would usually do 4-hour watches. I think they're probably doing 6-hour watches down there. But again, I don't know, and I'm not going to give away operational security. But it's interesting to see just how many vanfuls they have. They've got a lot of troops on board there.
Well, yeah, I would be interested to watch that next time it comes around.
Yeah, and then if you look over, okay, so there's a road to the left. There's an open field to the right, and I believe that's a golf course. Towards the end, you see a row of lights. There are cars parked along there, shining their headlights into the river, so that they can, because they don't have, I don't know why they just don't bring in those big, light towers, but looks like there's light towers from the Mexico side pointing our direction. So why not? I don't know.
Well, that's to make sure none of us are trying to sneak in. We just.
I was watching some video before they blocked all this. By the way, see all the troops down there by the fence line there?
I do, yes.
So I was watching before they did this lockdown, before they brought in the National Guard, the sheer number of people that were coming in. It was unbelievable. And then right under this bridge was a staging area. So the Border Patrol was actually separating people out, and they were lining them up and then getting them on buses. Right behind where it's actually, there's a famous video, I think it's on Instagram. There is a tee box right in this vicinity. And there's a guy teeing up, and they just show the guy, teeing up his shot. He hits the shot, and then you hear this massive cheer. And they turn the camera around, and there's all the illegals on the side there waiting to get on their buses. They're cheering for them like they were at some golf tournament. It's hilarious. Oh, look at that. Just in time. There's a van.
Oh, beautiful. Where are you going?
A little bit later tonight. So there you go. So yeah, I thought that was hilarious. A little bit of humor.
That's the one where that's the one where the our White House said there are no streams of people coming into our country. Somebody quick turn off that news station.
So typically what happened last night was the troops come in the vans, they do a shift change. The guys are all congregating here, and then they do their watch turnover. We had 28 cars come through. We had no incursions. We had, and then they swap out, and then they take the white van, will load up with the off-going and take them back to their temporary barracks, or they're probably staying in a nice hotel. Who knows?
Yeah.
I did see a video of one of the local Holiday Inn Express was being overrun by law enforcement. And by the way, last night when I was watching another person's stream, and that could have been JLR, but I'm not positive. When I was watching another person's stream, you could see law enforcement vehicles pulling in. And I saw one from Montana. I saw one from Florida, actually two from Florida. There was Idaho. So these people have sent their state police down here to assist.
Wow.
In addition to the National Guard.
I Okay, I don't know if it's just if it's just lucky. I mean, what's the word? Lucky is not the right word. If it's just a coincidence or something else, but I hear it's 25 states have formally thrown their support behind Abbott and the National Guard,
Yeah.
Texas National Guard, and I'm like, that's exactly half our states. That's interesting.
Well, and if you look at the map of where they did and where they didn't, what's interesting is, Arizona hasn't, but then, it could just be that Arizona has their hands full with what they're dealing with right now anyway.
They have a lot going on in Arizona, including.
I'm surprised California didn't send anybody, though. I mean, they're.
Well, in California, it's either 48 or 60. It's either 38, 48, or 68, depending on what news article you read. $1 billion deficit. However, so they're going to have to make some cuts. Newsom just shared. However, they did roll out Medi-Cal to all. So if you're looking for free medical health care and you're new to our country, then you should go to California because it's free. The state's going to pay for it. Now, if you live in California and you're a citizen and you can't afford insurance because most of the insurance providers pulled out, I don't know what you're going to do. But maybe claim that you're new. Don't claim you're not a citizen. Then you'll get your medical insurance. Anyways, I don't think Newsom is going to send any support to Texas to help with this at all.
No, I'm obviously joking about that, but no, I wouldn't expect it either. But I was surprised at the number of law enforcement, in addition to National Guard troops, that have come from other states.
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful.
It's quite a deal. I mean, there's no question this is quite a big deal. And, I think other states they're probably doing it both out of, hey, look, I'm going to need your help one day too. But they're also, they're placating their voters. They know that there are voters in different states that are frustrated, angry. They feel helpless because they're being overrun. And so, you send a handful of people down there, and realistically, it's not a huge number of people. The National Guard is not completely blanketing the border of
not at all.
Texas. There's a very small area. When I say small, it's probably 10 miles that they're running the razor wire and what have you. But I mean, impressive. The length of razor wire is pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, that is that section there, even a couple miles in the direction, is the number one place where people are coming across the border. So 10 miles out, if somebody has to move on the other side of the border, have to go that much further out, it's going to be really difficult for them. But and you can't. I mean, hundreds of miles. I don't see how you can cover the whole thing. I do want to hit on that political piece you mentioned. There's no doubt in my mind. It's an election year. It's a very important year, and people will posture and do unnatural things because it's an election year. They'll do what it takes, and there's a part of me that thinks that this is no different than that. I mean, I think this is the right thing to do, and I think it should have been started a couple of years ago. And really kind of force immigration reform. If you're unhappy with it, reform it, right? This isn't the way to do it. But what Abbott's doing now should have been done a couple of years ago. I think the reason why it's being done now, and to your point, maybe potentially why some of these other states, 24 other states are now supporting it, is probably more around, political solidarity, so that voters will remember me, vote for me, or our party. Right, because let's be honest. Whether you're if you're a Republican, you think your party is without a blemish, just read what happened in Arizona this week or last week. Right. You might change your mind. So I think both parties will do whatever it takes to get the vote, and I could see part of this being used to help in that endeavor. And it's kind of sad, like you would stoop to something like this to try to gain votes from your constituents instead of just go be a phenomenal leader, somebody that is insatiable and they can't live without. But instead, you've got to join these kinds of things in order to get those votes. It's kind of a sad statement, but I do think there's some truth to that.
Well, and to your point, this immigration thing isn't new. It's been going on for decades. And why are we waiting to right now to put a Band-Aid on it? This should have, they should have enacted some form of border protection statewide, because the national version has not been doing it. It is constitutional. It is a requirement of the governor to protect the borders. If this, and it's very clear in the Constitution, if the federal government won't do it, it is beholden of the state to do it. So,
right.
Real quickly, if you look straight ahead, parallel to, or at the end of where the right side, the covered walkway here, you see all those vehicles down there with the lights shining into the river. There's another version of it. So.
Yep. Love it. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to imagine. We have to remember that we are a republic where each state is part of the federation, the federal nation, right? But each state is also has its own individual responsibilities to the people who live in that state, and physical protection, economic protection, security. These are important things. We dismiss that, like, what physical security are you worried about? And we dismiss it. These are all people that are fleeing Venezuela. No, they're not all. And the physical security piece, like, you start to hear about some of the ranchers that live closer to the border that are experiencing people coming onto their land, demanding things from them and threatening them. Those are real situations from real people in real life. They're not make-believe. It's not the one-off. And it's not really fair to those people to feel threatened because our federal government has decided that it's not important.
Let's change gears for a second, David, and let's play this out. The week ahead could bring some events. It also could just peter out, right? But where do you see what's happening now? Where do you see that going? Does it escalate, or does it die down as the public, if you think that this is a PR stunt, the public has seen it, good, we made our stand, let's send everybody back home, or does the other side push a whole ton? I heard, I can't verify it, but I heard that there is another big caravan headed this way, which, if that happens, boy, oh boy, that could get interesting.
There is, I think, so will the Biden administration try to open the borders back up again, cut the barbed wire, and allow people to stream in? I think doing that would be a colossal mistake on a grand scale. Because it wouldn't just be Biden doing that; it'd be the Democratic Party doing that, and I don't think they would. I mean, they already have. It's already tough enough trying to put that puppet up. Sorry, he's the greatest president that's ever lived. Putting somebody up that has clearly been criticized very heavily in the last couple of years, especially for the inability to put together a full sentence, and that's your person. And if you as the party go and make that you decide that you're going to push, with the military and force your way back through, you are sending a message to across America about how you feel about the citizens of this country. I think that would be political suicide, and I don't see it happening.
Well, let me stop you there. I watched a video. I believe the guy is Anthony Arello. He does a lot of this border live streaming. He's really good, and his work has been picked up by many of the larger networks too. So, in fact, I think it was his interview that was captured where they got that multi-time arrested terrorist, and he said, "Yeah, you'll know my name soon." I think that was his. I heard that. Yeah. So I think that was his stream. But anyway, he was showing a live stream right here in Eagle Pass, and there was razor wire up that the National Guard or the local police, I think, had put up. I think it was National Guard. There was a handful of National Guard, not nearly what they have now. And Border Patrol came in, told them to step aside, and they cut it right there in front of them. Let all the illegals that had swum across the river come right up and inside. I watched that happen live, and it was shortly thereafter. And I think that enough people saw that because again, he's got a pretty good following. That there was an uproar, and within 2 weeks is when they called out the National Guard. So I wouldn't put it past them. It's not something that they wouldn't do. They've done it before. I think that they do it until they get caught, and then they see what the consequences are.
Yeah,
I do know right now, Border Patrol seems to be taking I'm going to stand back. We don't want to breach those lines. No one wants to go American against American. They just don't.
No, absolutely not. Well, in the Border Patrol, so some in the Border Patrol have actually spoken out and in favor of Abbott's decision, which is interesting. Certainly not Mayorkas, but some of the rank and file and some of the lower level leaders of the rank and file. And I think if that sentiment is as strong through the Border Patrol as we've started to hear, if that's true, then I don't see the Border Patrol wanting to take any other physical action. Like for them, they would see it as an illegal order, as a bad order. So then the other speculation, and this one is way out, in my opinion, way out there. Maybe I'm just naive, and then it's about, they float this on some of the news stations that no one should ever watch anymore because they're just so filled with crazy
Thank you
stuff.
for self-censoring. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's very difficult for me, but I did.
I know.
Can Biden, I think Biden has access to the U.S. military. And I was like, first off, you're speculating, number one. Number two, you're floating this idea by which is going to fire people up one side or the other. And by the way, literally what you're saying is you are trying to instigate the very thing that would be the worst thing possible for our nation. How dare you? But anyways, that's the other thing. And again, I may be too naive to think that something like that could happen, but that's the other piece.
Another option, though, is there are people calling for the administration to federalize the National Guard.
Right. That's right. And that's another action.
That would be interesting. You have to wonder what would happen there.
Right.
Would these Texans through and through say, okay, never mind. I'm not going to fight for my state anymore. Again, there's so much of it's speculation right now. I think that the week ahead could be an interesting one. I want to point out real quick, more of the vehicles have been on this end, like they're lighting up the golf course there, and you can see there's like 2 or 3 cars side by side, and then under the bridge pointing to the right, there's some lighting there too. It's like maybe they were concerned. Oh, there goes Border Patrol right there.
Yeah, I see the light. I didn't notice earlier that if it was on or off. Are you saying it was off before?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So let me switch over to another. By the way, did you get my message in private?
No, but I'll go there now.
Oh, wow, there's a big posse over here. Check this out. A bunch of guys hanging out down there just under the bridge.
Oh, I see him now.
So
This is
Upper left.
Yeah, upper left. I may have a different view than you do.
Yeah, you might. Anyway, so yeah, this is looks like there are troops hanging out underneath the bridge. Then you can see off to the far left, that's actually a railroad bridge over there. And then beyond that, there are vehicles driving on the other bridge that we were just on. I can show you that bridge again, but there's like two main bridges here. And I think they must check, I'm going to go to that other checkpoint real quick. I think they might shut down traffic coming into the U.S. at a certain time.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case, because it's also, yeah, it is interesting. There's virtually no one there.
Yeah. Who knows, right? It's all.
Yeah, I'm looking on the. I'm using the maps to see if I could zoom in daylight and see more about what this. I think I got it.
I think you have the ability to share your screen too. I think that's one of the features, but I could be wrong.
We'll have to play with it.
Well, sir,
Yeah.
let me go back to the park real quick, see if there's anything happening there. And if not, we can just bail out, and I'll just let the live go for a while in case someone wants to see what's happening there. You just never know.
You just want someone to gun it right through that lane right there, just like hit
I
them.
don't. Come on now. That would be ugly, David. What's wrong with you?
I'm just totally joking.
Oh, there's a car at the ballpark. Let's see what they're doing.
It only happens in the movies. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Now, let's think about it. It's 11 o'clock at night there.
Right.
It's a baseball field, and they decided this would be the place to go park.
Yes.
So are they waiting for someone, waiting for something? Or is it a young couple making out? I mean, you just don't know.
Well,
make something up. I mean, why not?
I
right?
know. Yeah, no, I had some thoughts. Yeah, interesting. Like, why would you go there? What would you cause you to pull in here and pause there? I did see what looked like a little lighter flicker. So who knows? Maybe they're smoking a perfectly legal cigarette before they, continue their drive.
Yeah, that could be because both hands on the wheel at all times.
Both hands on the wheel. 2 and 10, or 9 and 3 now, actually.
9 and 3. Yeah.
Oh.
Going too fast, right?
Wow. Good thing your car there was almost parked, pulled forward all the way. Otherwise, that could have been ugly.
Yeah, he did. And, he's one of these shameless parkers, too. Look at him straddling the line there.
I know. You never know when this place gets busy. Oh, boy, that parking lot gets a lot of traffic considering it's a parking lot.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And it was full earlier. I guess I'm not sure what was going on. Maybe there was some kind of there was no one in the ball field directly behind that parking lot, but the parking lot was completely full. So who knows? So, hey,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say so where our view of it, what's on this side?
What's on this side? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to look at the map.
In fact, we could do a Google Maps and see what's in Moncada Park.
I only ever use Google Maps.
So I just signed up for Google Earth Studio. Have you heard of that?
No, not Studio.
Google
Google
Earth Studio gives you the ability to do and capture drone footage. So because they have all these satellite pictures of everything, you can put in a start point, an end point, and a key point, or a waypoint. So you can say, I want it to go down through almost street level in New York City from an aerial view, and it will do it. And then you can capture that video and put it into your whatever you want to do.
Wow,
it's actually pretty cool. So I'm going to be playing with that over the next couple of days and seeing how that works. But I'm looking forward to messing with that.
Nice.
So, hey, if you are watching this on the replay, we appreciate you being here. Please hit the like and subscribe. We're going to be doing more of these. Sometimes it'll just be us hanging out and talking. Sometimes it'll be a recorded video. Sometimes it will be another live stream like this, wherever things are popping off.
Yeah, looking forward to it. That's awesome. Thanks for pulling this. Oh, what?
Oh, where are they going?
Lights on.
Oh, they got the call. They got the call.
You got the call. It's time to move.
It would be something if it was like undercover and the lights go on, lights and siren. Woo! Oh, he's going all the way around, isn't he?
He's practicing for he's practicing his donuts. No,
go over the curb. Go over the curb. Okay, never
do it. All right. Well.
All right, I'm going to leave the stream going. So if people want to watch what's going on in Eagle Pass, they can. Otherwise, the two of us will cut out of here. Thanks again, Dave.
Yeah, thanks. That was fun. Talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see you.